Hey everybody, Steve here for Who Took My Dice Miniature Wargaming, and welcome to a special response video. So last week I was tagged by none other than Freak from Frost and Fists, and I recommend you go check their channel. They have amazing stuff. Every Friday they have a awesome live stream. They talk about all this cool stuff, Warhammer news, their favorite models, the stuff they've been working on, hobby news, the whole shebang. Please check them out. But as I said, I was tagged. Now, he in turn was tagged by someone else, and this whole thing was started by the WeatherPig channel that I've only just discovered myself. I've been watching it. Very, very cool. Again, please check them out. So basically, it's sort of show what your favorite models are. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through some of my favorite models I've ever painted up in my army, kind of give the reason why they're my favorite models, and just have fun with it. So let's go. So first up are my 3 Rogue Trader Marines. I was able to get my hands on these, years ago now. And I painted them up in the style of my army at that point. I've got a couple second company ones, a 4th company one. I have in a few of my different squads. And honestly, I just love them. They were a pleasure to paint up, to have a piece of history, of Warhammer 40,000 history models from the very first edition. I just love them. They were really, really nice to paint. A little bit different because they don't have all the same sort of lines and definition that later models have. They're all doing this crouchy pose, like they're doing squats in the middle of a workout. The detail's not the same, obviously, but at the same time, just frankly a fun bunch of guys to put together and paint up. Lots and lots of fun. And, I mean, it's a nostalgia factor, too. Obviously, they're on the wrong size bases now. You'll find a number of these models are just because I haven't put them on there. It's cool to see the old style bolters, the old backpacks. Obviously, a lot of the style has been reimagined and refined in the Horus Heresy models. But yeah, I love these guys. And I think I may actually put them on the bigger bases and get back to using them again. Next up is my old school Dreadnaught that I've had since 3rd edition. Now, you guys might remember this guy from my Get It Painted challenge at the beginning of last year. I just took an old Dreadnaught I had forever, repainted it, gave it some new life again, to the first company to support my my training war veterans. I just love the Dreadnaught designs. These old school Dreadnaught designs. I know you have the new Primaris Dreadnaughts and some of the other ones, but I just love the old style of these guys. Especially this one, I've sort of put him in a firing pose. It looks like I always like to put his arm back. He's sort of leaned back a bit like he's laying loose with the assault cannon. And it's a nostalgia factor. It's a model I've had for a very, very, very long time. And it's also interesting because it's got a couple different paint styles. I mean, the original painting on this was from ages and ages ago when I first started the game. And then of course I repainted it a few more times, and then finally just now, with lighting and the highlighting and using some different techniques that I would never have even thought of back when I first started painting. So it's a really fun model. I had a lot of fun painting it, and it's just one that if anybody asks what one of my favorite models is, I always go to this guy. He's a lot of fun. Speaking of Tyrannic War veterans, of course, anybody who knows me knows these guys would be on the list. I love these models. These are some of my favorite models, period, of all time. I just love the character to them, the detail, the different armor than the standard Space Marines. They have that really old style armor to it. The battle damage. Some of them have the augmentations. Right, like this gentleman right here who's got the leg and yes, I think one of his arms. Which one is it? One of these guys. Who is it? I might be wrong. Anyways, yeah, just there he is. No, there is the arms, having the bionics there after being ripped apart. This dude, the sergeant's my favorite. Just the damage on the face, some of it coming down the leg. Right there, I don't know if you can see it, but the leg damage. It was just these models were a joy to paint. They added character to an army that desperately needed it back and forth. Their old rules were awesome. They were I think one of the first units that actually used grenades as weapons instead of just something that they sort of charged in a battle with, like frag grenades. You could use them as an actual attack, like a physical attack, which is fun. They were just so much fun to paint up. Again, I've actually painted these up a couple times as well. Once when I first got them, and a second time when I was actually working for Games Workshop my fantastic boss that I had at the time really pushed me to try and always better my painting. And so these guys have always been some of my favorite models. And I think you'll agree they are pretty damn awesome. This is another small unit. It's a favorite of mine. I painted these guys up, again, way back, God, 4th or 5th edition. They're really important to me for a number of reasons. One, it was one of the first units I actually built and painted up while I was working at Games Workshop. So it was the first time I actually had a unit. I was fresh. I was using all the new techniques I'd learned. We were preparing for some city fight stuff. That's why all my army has the same sort of basing. It was also one where I really started to push my hobby muscle a bit in terms of not just building the models. These guys all have assault marine legs. I want a unit that was being dynamic. Even now, a lot of Marines, even the new stuff, a lot of it is static. Yeah, sometimes they look like they're walking, but most of the time they're shooting or they're standing there, or really there's not a lot of dynamics to the models. The new Primaris Lieutenant Phobos armor is an exception. He's fantastic. But I want a unit that was really looked like they were running. They were going somewhere. So they're all armed up. One guy's even got a grenade in his hand. He's ready to chuck. All right, the sergeant here with a chainsaw and a bolter. The other thing is, at the same time when I was doing these, I was reading one of the Ultramarine books. I can't remember the top. It might have been Nightbringer. But anyways, there was a squad led by Sergeant Learches, I believe it is. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. He was just a really kick-ass character. This guy that was completely devoted to the Codex, had a problem with the way Captain Ventress did things, but at the heart of heart, he was an Ultramarine. And so I decided to paint up a squad. Originally, they had 4th Company colors, but I decided to go back to 2nd Company just because I like the way the blue and the gold look. It's always very cool. But yeah, so this is one of the first squads I built, so it has a special place in my heart. All right, and last but very much not least are the Masters of the Chapter models, sort of. The 3, starting left to right, so that's the 3rd Company Captain, 4th Company, and 10th Company Captains are all the old metal Masters of the Chapter models. The one there is actually, the one on the far right is actually one of the first Sicarius models. Obviously, he's changed now. I wanted a special event way back in the day, the Fallen Medusa. These were just so well-made models. They looked like Marines. They felt like Marines. The thick armor, the nobility to them, just really, really cool. Even the Sicarius model with his, he's a bit more cartoonish, but just the way he was done. Obviously, the Ultramarine symbols helped. Gotta love my Ultramarines. Again, these are ones I painted up back in my glory days of Games Workshop when it was right around the time I started working there. I was given the opportunity to paint the models and keep them. I have the other one, but I always replace them with that model when I'm using them. The reason I love these ones is because I was challenged by one of my coworkers to go through the heavy metal process of painting them. So the way heavy metal does it in the books, we had one, so I went through it on each one of these models. It was painstaking. I learned a lot about painting from it, though. Like, those blues are all multiple layers of different blues mixed together till I think the final highlights are probably McCraig blue or whatever it was back then. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about painting. It was a great challenge, and they've just always been my favorite models to look at. I'm especially drawn to the 3rd Company. Just the way he was modeled, the size of him. He is just a huge guy. He's massive. He's always envisioned Marines being. Just a lot of fun. There we go. That will be the last part of that. Well, there you have it, guys. Those are my favorite models in my entire collection. I love them. What can I say? They have a soft spot in my heart. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please check those 2 channels out. Obviously, Frost and Fist. Love those guys. The WeatherPig. I've just newly discovered him. Great channel. Check him out, please. Also, I'm a member of the Wargamers Unification group on Facebook. That's Idic Beers group. Please check them out. It's a really positive, nice group. Lots of incredible people. And obviously, as I've been tagged, I must tag someone. So I have chosen 2 people. Red Green 09 and Big Mac Danskull. So you guys have been tagged, so put something out, please. Let's keep this going. It's great to see all the crazy stuff from the community. I've been watching a few of the videos. There's just so much amazing talent out there. A lot of heart and love going in these models. It's fantastic to see, and I hope to see more. So as always, guys, please keep rolling those dice, and I will see you later. Bye.